Hello? Why'd you look at me, Bonnie? That was weird.
I don't know. This feels weird. Hi, everybody.
Welcome.
Welcome. I am Jenny Craig.
I'm Jeremy Craig, head distiller at Copper Bottom Craft Distillery. Go ahead.
And we are here at Copper Bottom Craft Distillery. You stole my thunder.
Sorry. I thought this was my thing.
Oh.
Never mind. I don't know.
It's our thing.
It's our thing. You're right.
Okay, so we are here. It is Friday. It's just a little bit after 4 o'clock, and you have had a very productive day today. I did as well.
It's been a long day.
But
so far already.
Here at the distillery, why don't you tell them what you've been working on?
Well, we actually just bought a while back an ambulance, believe it or not, a giant rolling billboard ambulance. And we actually had it wrapped today. Beach House Graphics over in Ormond Beach did a fantastic job wrapping this thing up. So check out Facebook here pretty soon. I don't think we have any pictures of it yet. I think we may have a couple on Instagram, but I'm not sure that we have any up on Facebook yet. So keep an eye out though, because I'll throw some up on Facebook. You got to see this thing. It's ridiculous. It really is. So I spent all day today putting the lights back on. There's a lot of lights on a darn ambulance. Let me tell you, a lot. Because I was afraid. They kept telling me it was 90% chance of rain today. So still not raining, but
the thing looks really cool. And if you want a sneak peek, check us out on Instagram. Copper Bottom Spirits is the name on Instagram, and our Instagram story today is kind of the reveal, the initial reveal.
Yeah, we picked it up this morning pretty early.
Hi, John. Hi, Stephanie. And Drew is here. Hi, Drew.
Oh, yeah. Hi, guys. So today, what are
you drinking?
I'm just having a rum and Coke. It's that time. I needed some.
You earned it today.
What are you drinking?
Well,
yeah, it's empty.
What happened?
Sorry.
I tried to make it last till 4 o'clock, but it was a day. It was a day, y'all. I did have the Copper Bottom vodka, and I did this little rose simple syrup. It was really good. A rose simple syrup, and then tonic.
I don't even know what that is.
It was good.
Sounds good.
A friend gave it to me.
All right, so
hi, Kim.
Can I jump in now?
Proceed.
Okay. So what we want to talk about today is barrels. Barrels in general, barrel aging, age statements on barrels, which is why we kind of turned this thing around to kind of show you the barrels today. Not that we're going to talk much about these specific barrels, but barrels in general. So first question, I get a question a lot is, what about age statements? What do they actually mean? Is older better? And honestly, it really depends. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. There's a few factors that go into barrel aging. You give me a funny look. It's
I'm
weird.
Listening.
No, I know you are.
Hold on.
No.
I do want to stop you real quick.
Go ahead.
You just said something age statements. Like some of us don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean an age statement? What is that?
Oh, okay. Yeah, you know what? I should go into that a little bit more. See,
don't assume that we're all distillers.
No, that's why you're here. No, so what I'm talking about is age statements on bottles. So, and this is kind of a very, actually, I'm glad you brought this up, because a lot of times you'll see numbers on bottles. A lot of times those numbers mean absolutely nothing. Unless it specifically says aged X amount of years, 10 years, 5 years, 2 years, whatever it is, it doesn't really mean anything. They could just be throwing a number on a bottle to to me, it's almost like they're trying to mislead you into thinking that it's a longer age spirit when it actually isn't. So that's one thing you have to look out for. If it has a number on there, don't just assume that number means how old that spirit is, because chances are it doesn't mean that. Unless it specifically says aged X amount of years, it probably doesn't really mean anything.
Okay, so time out. So if it says aged 8 years, that means it's been aged for 8 years. So what other number would be on the bottle that you're referring to?
Okay, so when it says aged 8 years, let's go back to that for a second. What that actually means is that it's aged in oak or wood containers. Not always oak, but wood containers. Usually oak, but wood containers in general. You can't age anything in stainless steel. That's not allowed. So if it's sitting in a tank for 8 years, that means nothing. It means it's just the same age that it was when it went in. So when you're seeing something that's aged, it should be aged in a barrel. Now, going back to your question, what do the numbers mean? It could mean anything.
I know, but what other number would be on there if it wasn't?
I'm not going to point out any particular brands in particular, but there are some brands out there that'll have specific numbers on there that might just be their address, or it might be, the number of recipe that particular spirit was that they came up with.
But it's where like the age, this number of years would usually be, and that's why it could be misleading?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
Okay.
I think a lot of people just assume that when you see a number on a bottle that it actually means that that's the age of it. And that's generally not generally, but it's not always the case. Good? Does that answer your question?
Go on. Okay.
So a few other things. Like I said, one of the big questions I always get is, well, is older better? If I see a 25-year-old rum or whiskey or bourbon or scotch, whatever it happens to be, is that better than a 15-year-old? And the answer really is, you don't really know. Older doesn't always mean better. There's a ton of factors that go into the maturity of a spirit. Couple things that really make a big difference. The type of wood that was used. Was it new oak? Was it French oak? Was it cherry? Was it other types of wood? Another thing that makes a difference is, where did that wood come from? Is it, every tree is different. Did the forest it was in that for those years get a bunch of water? Was it in a dry climate? Those affect the different sugar compounds that are in the wood itself. Another big question is, how old is that barrel? If it's a brand new barrel, you're going to get a ton of flavor out of it. If it's a company that's been using this same barrel for 60, 70 years, 8, 9, 10 times, there's not a whole lot of life in it. So if you had a whiskey, let's say, that's aged for 25 years in a barrel that they've used 10 times for 100 years, is that better than one that's aged for 5 years in a new barrel? That's up to you. Really, you get different flavors out of it. But just keep in mind that just because it's older doesn't always mean that it's better. I'm going to turn to you and see if you have any more questions on anything else. That, now I need another sip of my drink.
I think I'm following you.
Okay.
Older doesn't mean better.
Older doesn't. Okay, stop it now. Okay.
You're better, Dave.
Whatever.
And you're older.
So another thing that really makes a difference in barrel aging is, or age statements, I should say, is where was that barrel aged? Warmer temperatures, heat, like it is in here today, is hot in here today.
It's really hot.
Man,
you guys, I'm like
sweating over here. Sorry. Yep. So
it's hot, and it's only March.
It is only March. My goodness. Wait
no
until
one's
June.
gonna come through here in June, July. All right, keep going.
So anyway, so where was the barrel stored? Was it stored in a high temperature climate around the Caribbean? Was it in a cellar in a cave somewhere in Scotland? All these things make a difference. Just like when you're dissolving sugar or something in water, the higher the temperature, the more you can actually dissolve in that liquid or that water or that whatever it is you're using. The same is true for alcohol. The higher the temperature, the more of the alcohol can actually dissolve more of the sugars that are in the sugars and compounds that are in the wood. Those sugars and compounds are actually created, well, they're always in the wood, but they're also created by the charring. Most barrels or most aged spirits are aged in charred oak barrels. Stop laughing at me. What? I don't even know what's going on here.
I don't know.
I'm just looking behind me here, and all I see is...
You're doing good. You're doing good.
No, okay. So charred oak barrels, what that basically means is they take barrels and they char them on the inside. They burn them. There's like a charcoal layer. It almost looks like an alligator skin on the inside of a barrel. What that does is it caramelizes a lot of the sugars and the compounds in the wood. So as the temperature rises, or if you're in a climate where it's always hot, you have the spirits actually have a lot more room to soak up more of those compounds. Another thing that makes a difference is what proof did the spirit go into that barrel? Meaning, was there more alcohol? Was there more water? That affects the different compounds that are actually dissolved as well. So there's different sugars and different types of compounds that are dissolved. That makes a difference also. Trying to think of what else.
So the inside of the barrel is all charred. You went to
charred,
Where did you go? And you got to see this happen.
Oh, I went to a cooperage up in Kentucky. It was really pretty cool. Actually,
and they were charring the barrels with fire.
Well, yeah.
They were banging them all together.
So actually, that's one thing you ought to check out on our Facebook page, on Copper Bottom's Facebook page. There's a video on there a short little video that I took when I was at Kelvin Cooperage up in Kentucky. kind of showing you the process of how they made barrels. Really should check it out. It's really kind of interesting to see. Excuse me.
So they like char them, and then you put the rum in them, and then, or whiskey or whatever, and then isn't all that char just going to get all up in our drink?
No, we filter that out. No, because most of it stays on the walls, and actually the charcoal on the walls, the alcohol moving in and out of that charcoal actually filters it as well. So you'll get some of the alcohols, undesirable alcohols that we might not necessarily want, will be filtered out in that charcoal. When we dump that barrel, a lot of that, we filter out all that charcoal that comes out with it. So if there's, there are going to be chunks and stuff that come out when we dump the barrel, but we always filter those out. And by the time it hits the bottle, there's nothing in there. It's all filtered out.
Cool.
So there's a few things in the barrel itself that give you those flavors. I was telling you early, sugars. Wood, there's all kinds of sugars, believe it or not, in plants and in wood in general. So the charring of those barrels actually help to caramelize those sugars. Another big flavor component in barrels is the collagen, I'm sorry, I always want to say collagen. Why do I always want to say collagen? I don't know. It's the cellulose and the
Take a drink.
Stop it. You're going to take a drink too with me, huh?
Hi, Joanne. Brian's here too.
So it's actually the cellulose and the hemicellulose and the lignin in the wood that actually helps to give you those flavors as well. Now this goes back to the age statement also. A lot of times it takes longer for some of those compounds to actually dissolve. And again, it depends on how much water, how much alcohol is actually in that distillate that it goes in at. So there's a few factors that actually go into age statements and what it actually means on your bottle. Any other questions?
I'm just along for the ride.
Just along for the ride. I get it. So yeah, another big factor in barrel aging and in age statements as well. We already went over temperature. So if it's in a warm climate or in a cool climate, that affects the time or the amount of aging that you'll actually get out of a barrel, or the maturation that you'll get out of a barrel. Another big component is pressure. So if you're in a place where you have high pressure all the time, or a lot of pressure fluctuations, that actually helps to force the spirits in and out of that wood, helping you to dissolve those sugars. So that's another big factor. So again, does an age statement matter? Yes and no. Does it make a huge difference? Maybe. It really just depends. You really need to, instead of just going by, oh, this one's older, it's got to be better, you really need to try each individual spirit and see if it has the types of flavor characteristics that you're looking at or that you like. Because at the end of the day, if it's 25 years old and it doesn't taste all that great, so why? Just buy the one that you like.
What if they don't know what they like and they're just looking on the shelf and they've got 8 years and 12 years and 15 years and 1 year? Because we have a 1 year. We have a 1 year, yes. Because we've only been open 1 year. I've got some other stuff going, but we've only been open 1 year. So, but no, what I would do that's really up to you. If you're looking on a shelf and you see, okay, I want to try some bourbon today, and you see different ages on those bourbons, I would actually just try some. I wouldn't go right away to the most expensive, the highest age statement. You can't just try.
No. I'm just saying you're gonna have to. You're gonna have to buy even if you could buy a small bottle, buy something. Or I'll tell you, that's the great thing about bars and restaurants. Go to your local, instead of just going to ABC or Total Wine or wherever you have your local liquor store. Not everybody has those places around here, by the way. So wherever liquor store you're going to, obviously you have to buy a whole bottle, but you can go to your local bar, restaurant, pub, whatever, take a little sample of it. A lot of times they're more than happy just to give you a little sample, but if you have to buy a little shot of something, it's cheaper than going to buy a whole bottle of whatever. And at the end of the day, buy what you like, not because it has a giant age statement on it or because it was aged in in a barge somewhere out in the middle of the ocean with music playing 24/7.
That sounds like very good rum, though.
It could be. Could
All
not
right,
be.
so there's some law that's like you could have older rums mixed together with younger rums, but whatever the youngest rum is what you have to say the age is?
Yeah, so when you see an age statement on a bottle in general, I believe this is everywhere, but don't quote me on this. in general, the age statement has to be of the youngest spirit in the bottle. So let's say it's a blend of a 25-year-old and a 15-year-old. The age statement has to be 15 years, and that's just by law. You can't put 25 years when a portion of it is 15. So you have to always use the lowest age of whatever spirit that it is going into the barrel or going into the bottle. Sorry.
All right, and I think we probably have time for one more question. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Hit me.
Where the heck are these barrels from behind us?
Oh, these barrels behind us, these are all from Kentucky. These are all from all places that you've heard of. They're all from, should I say the places they're from? Does it matter? I guess it doesn't matter, right?
Why? We're proud.
Oh, no, I am, but I just didn't, you know how it is with some of these people. So, yeah, so they're actually all from distilleries up in Kentucky. They're all from Maker's Mark, Jim Beam, Heaven Hill, Buffalo Trace. We get them from all the big distilleries up there. The reason we use them is they're once-used bourbon barrels. We get them just a few weeks after they empty them, and then we fill them right back up with our rum. Rum especially, it's better to use a once-used barrel instead of a brand-new barrel. A brand-new barrel is gonna taste like bourbon in no time at all. And I'm not looking for bourbon. I'm looking for rum. So ours still has a little bit of that whiskey characteristic to it because it's been sitting in a whiskey barrel for a year. But it still has that underlying sweetness of the rum, especially on the finish. It's really pretty interesting. I do have one surprise coming up here pretty soon that we just got I
love surprises.
We just got a stout barrel from Tomoka Brewery here in town. They have aged an imperial stout in a bourbon barrel. They let it age for a certain amount of time. They emptied it out. We got that barrel now, and now we're finishing one of our 1-year-old rums in that stout barrel. So we're going to get some interesting, cool flavors with that. We cracked into it just last weekend just to get a little sample, just to kind of see how it's progressing, and it's good, let me tell you. So it's going to be very limited release. We only have one barrel. It's only going to be, actually out of one barrel, here's a little bit of trivia for you. Out of one barrel, you're going to get somewhere around 265 or so bottles out of it. So there's not a whole lot of bottles in one barrel. So it'll be a limited release. We'll let everybody know. Actually, I'm sure we'll announce it on this when we actually release it as well.
Cool.
All right.
Thank you.
It's been about 17 minutes. That's about all I can stand, unless anybody has any crazy questions or anything.
Go find us at ABC, all the ABCs in Florida, and Total Wine. We're at 7 or 8 of them.
We're in a few of them, yeah.
Stonewood, all over the state. Go find us.
All over the state.
Copper
And
Bottom,
if you're not in the state,
rum and vodka.
Sorry. We're not there yet.
Find a friend who is in the state, send them to us, and they can
they'll deliver
bring
it
to you.
Exactly. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Happy Good Friday. Have a good long weekend. If you have a long weekend.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter. And see you guys next time.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.